Welcome to Mayo Family Homestead. Today we'll be fixing up and tuning this bicycle. Now this is my friend's bicycle and it needs quite a bit of work on it. First problem is the cranks need to be tightened and oiled. Same thing with the rear cassette and chain. It has the chain binding problem. We need to dial in the brakes. The rear brakes are disabled, but the front works, but not good enough. Should be good enough where I can flip you over. We're going to need to oil up the front bearings, do a little bit of cable tensioning, replace the gear changers with better ones, because when you try to change gears, see, it just does that. And then we would need to oil and smoothen out these shocks, and this bike will be good to go. So first we'll start with the brakes. Now the rest of the shocks, this could wear out the inside in there, so we're going to get some sandpaper. Fine sandpaper them up. See that right there? It's already getting cleaned. We'll clean that up, throw some thick grease in there, and the shocks will be good to go. We now have the bike hoisted up into the tree. This allows me to get through stuff and also allows me to work on the rear and spin it, which the rear is having chain difficulties, which I like to call chain syndrome. So now I can turn this around over here and get to work on these front forks now. Now, I've greased the shocks, greased the wheel. I'm going to leave the grease on there for now, just so it'll get worked in there. The wheel is a little warped. That's why the brakes sometimes rub, but it's not warped too bad. Now we're moving on to the rear, which we'll need to put a little grease for the shocks. We'll need to replace the cranks because they're rubbing. They're this bad plastic, but we're able to keep the pedals. The cranks are bad. Hopefully the bearings are not shot. We'll need to oil that chain. After that, we'll work on the chain syndrome, which pedaling backwards, the chain does not do its thing. That's from water resting it up, and then the cassette really needs some oil. And then we'll have to rest right there. We'll have to replace each of these gear changers. Gear changers or shifters, because they are design flaw to the max. They don't even work. So we'll do that, and this will allow the bike to change gears. Now, I do have a replacement for this, and it's over here. Hardtail mountain bike frame. This one is good. It has good old metal pedals, and they do not rub on there. See how much? Wait, let's flip this over. See the clearance on there? Each of those, they're not bent in. Same three-way sprocket, I believe. Let's see. Yeah, should be exact same match. And then you see the clearance here. And then if we look on the clearance on the other side, chain don't even want to work. There you go. No clearance there. And that over time will cut into the frame, and that'll be a dangerous accident. And then we'll put some oil there. Every single movable joint, we'll have to oil those just so it'll last longer. So we're going to get started on, what did I say? Well, we'll get started on the cranks here. So how I'll do this is you'll get a hammer and a screwdriver. You will knock that back the way it goes, unloosen it. You'll also do the exact same thing with that. And then you'll do this right here first. Get the pedal off each side and then bam. We'll probably have to oil that up in there too. But hopefully it shouldn't take too long. That alone, the crankset should take around 30 minutes, hopefully. We're going into crank surgery. Now, first thing we'll need is a ratchet. Okay, so going into the crank surgery, you'll need a, let's see, what's 9/16 bit for it, and put this on. There we go. Get this off. We'll see how much hard time it gives us. There we go. And it'll come off now. Now, usually cranks, when they come off, they'll either be really easy to come off or really hard. So we got that. Get my parts towel and put that on there. Ow. Let's see if it'll come off. And it needs some persuading. Okay, so without actually getting a hammer and banging up these pedals, I'm just going to simply just ride around, and from the moving of it and the pedaling, these will fall off itself and allow me to be able to get these off safely. So we'll ride the best of the best. Before riding, I can actually take advantage of this and oil up the rear cassette bearing and the other bearing, and then actually oil up the chain. The chain really needs this lubrication. So I'm going to do that now. Alright, just got done lubricating the chain and the cassette. So now I'm going to ride the bike over there, just going around, testing out the suspension, working that in. And then we will get into the cassette. Not the cassette, the... whatever that thingy I was working on. So far it's working pretty good. You can see how messed up that shock is. It came apart, so we're just going to let it be like that to work more. In there, the shock is kind of a little seized, but it's unseized now. I've decided to go with getting a hammer and just slowly tapping them out. Just had a massive throw up when I flipped it over. See that? All that is watery rust that's been sitting in there, rusting away the frame. I get all that cleaned up and we'll go for our little ride. This crank is not coming off. This crank is officially raspered. This thing is, it's going to take some long grinding to do this. But hopefully it comes off. I've greased it up, so hopefully that'll help. And then after I get the cranks done, I'll try to get this wheel to become straightened up as much as I can. It's quite deformed. With a little bit of persuasion, it came off. Yeah, that is good. It was a pain in the butt, but we got both of them off. Now, I did not damage this crank up too much. It's still usable, which is good. That in there, it was seized in there pretty well. But that's off. So we keep the pedals. Cranks could be used for spares, but they'd have to be reshaped. But now we need to take this off. Put some grease in there, because listen to that. then that's all shaky. And we'll put on the replacements, which is here, which are good sturdy metal, and this thing will be almost done. And then we'll have to go through the testing phase. Upon inspection, there we go. As you can see, the bearings are not shot. They could use grease for sure. Inside of here, where the bearings live, it is a little bit dirty. You can see right there. That's how much grease they put in there, which that is not good. So I'm going to pack this thing up with grease to the maximum it can go, which will make these live a lot longer. So I'll pack that up with grease. We'll take that crank set, throw it on here, and then we'll worry about the gear changers now. And then after that, this should be good to go. It's a little overkill, but this is all the grease we're packing up in there. This thing needs it. So we have our new cranks ready, so we're going to install them on, grease them up, and then we'll move on to our next testing phase. Look at that pedal clearance. See that? Nowhere near there. Anyway, look at that rotation. Why is that warped? I'll have to warp that back in place. Got the pedal off. It's like it's been rust Loctited on there. But we got the new crank on. Just found the third replacement. Problem is the gear is way bigger than it's supposed to handle. So we'll see how that comes. But we'll install the pedals now. Alright, let's try this beast. It doesn't bind up anymore. Let's see if it'll shift into these higher gears. This gear changer is defective. It don't go up anymore. It's supposed to, but it don't. So after further examination, it seems like the bottom gear shifter is defaulty, meaning it is not working how it should be. I don't know what the problem is with it. It's like this here went out somehow. But the thing is that this cannot shift gears here because of the new sprocket size. But we fixed the major problem of the thing going into there rubbing. The rear is straight. We're going to have to take off the front wheel, take the tire off the tube, and align the front tire because it is like super out of wobbliness. I mean, I can't even have the brakes nice and true because it's so wobbly. But we got everything lubricated, everything's good. The only thing that we need to change is just this gear changer, which will allow the rear to be able to change. In order for the rear to change, I have to do the gear changer and help it change. But yeah, so I think what I'll do now is I'm going to work on the gear changer, and then for last, work on the front tire, and that will conclude it. So yeah, we'll work on the gear changer now.